What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to How's It Going to End? How you doing? That's great. Today I am joined by Manuel Rodriguez-Saenz, who plays Philly the Mechanic in the upcoming Far Cry 6 that drops October 7th, who you probably already knew that, on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. I was introduced to Manuel when he played Boone on one of my favorite Netflix originals, Black Summer, and we'll get to that in a little bit, definitely. But how you doing? What's going on?
I'm good, Tim. Thanks so much for having me, man.
This is really cool. My favorite thing that I've been able to, that I never thought I'd be able to do, that I'm able to do with this following, the small following I have in this podcast, is be able to talk to people that it's obvious, that thing of like, you never expect to get to that point where you can come in direct contact, even if it's through Zoom. So this is really, really cool. So thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me. I seriously love your interviews, and I love that you're a fan.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
An asset.
Yeah. So one thing I've been trying to do, at least lately, is, since we're almost, it feels like, hopefully on the back end of all this pandemic and quarantine, is how would you say, after the last year and a half or almost 2 years, have you been emotionally, mentally, health-wise in the last year and a half? You know, especially as someone who was in the industry, a performer and entertainer, to come out on the other side of this. How have you been? How's it all been?
Thanks for asking. It's really nice. I guess it's a long question for everybody nowadays, I guess, right? It's definitely been a roller coaster. I learned a lot about myself and my health and my mental health through all this, and how important, and I knew it was important, but how essential it is to socialize with people, to have a circle of friends, to have conversation even with strangers. And that was the most I miss from everything, and the most it was affecting me. So I live in Toronto, so when things started opening up, then my mood changed. Everything was so much better just because of the fact that I was able to talk to people and play sports and walk around.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, I remember there was a solid chunk of quarantine back between March to May where I was quarantining alone up in a house, and like far from the city. Like I live in New York, so I was quarantining far from like a heavily populated area. And even in the city, it was pretty bare in the streets. So that was definitely more of an insulation time, you know, where everything has to push forward, and you have to hopefully, you know, just finally going back to movies this year. Like I started because I got vaccinated back then, so starting to go to movies in like May and all that, and being able to like sit in a theater with people and enjoy a movie is just it's such a shot of adrenaline.
I know, and we took it for granted like a while ago.
Oh yeah,
right? And now it's all these little things that mean so much, and they are really important.
Yeah. So one thing that I guess is such a perfect mirror is, I mean, it wasn't a zombie apocalypse, but it was a sense of like, you know, avoid people, stay away from other people. You don't want to, you know, come into, like, I would walk my dog around the block, and there would be people just zigzagging, you know, trying to avoid everyone. And what was it like being in a production? And you also, I mean, I think a good portion of Black Summer was filmed during the late of last year, right?
That's right. Yeah. We were shooting just before the shutdown, just before COVID, just before it got real, before Tom Hanks got it. that's when everything started. Like,
that's changing. True. That's a good point.
And then we had a break for like about 6 months, I think. And so we finished, and we actually, the last day of the break was the very last scene of the 4th episode. So like we finished right in the middle. And then we were able to continue the other 4.
That's incredible.
In the fall.
That's pretty crazy. Is that that's gonna be the benchmark now? It's gonna be like, do you remember where you were when Tom Hanks got COVID?
I do. Do you remember?
I do. I was binge watching like a show I had seen 1,000 times, and then I saw the notification on I had a CNN notification pop up. I was like, oh shit, this is real.
That's exactly it. I was actually on my way to Calgary to shoot. I wasn't in the car.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, this shit is real. And within that trip to the airport, NBA shut down, MLB shut down. It was just like, literally Tom Hanks made it happen.
I think that was like a shift into every public gathering can't have,
That's right.
can't exist. Bars are going to have to start closing down. And that's incredible. All right. Well, yeah. So let's get into some Far Cry stuff, because I've seen like, I'm not much of a video game guy. I talk about it all the time, where I'll obsess about one game for 2 months and then I'll wait until a new game comes in. But there are always these games that I hear about, that I know other people play, that I want to be a part of that atmosphere. So it's a good thing I waited until Far Cry 6 to start getting into Far Cry. So I'm definitely going to get this one and play, just because to have this connection. So this is going to be great. First couple things I have. Did you do like motion capture, or you just did the voice? So that's what's interesting to me, is what would you, what are some of the biggest differences and similarities between performing for motion capture, as well as doing, like vocal recording, and performing when you're on set with a crew?
Yeah, I mean, it was an experience and I loved it. I'm a bit of a gamer myself, and I knew about Far Cry. So when I first heard about the franchise and I'm going to be part of the franchise, it was just like literally a dream come true. But it's a style on its own, because it's a little bit almost between mix and theater, I guess, when it comes to acting, mix and theater and film. I gotta say also, you don't have to be this game. There is obviously gonna be gameplay, and you have to have certain skills when you play the game.
Yeah.
But Tim, the cinematics of it, the storytelling.
That's what I always hear about, especially this franchise, is just it's a story told almost. I mean, also most video games now, they have to meet those standards of you're going to play a 40-hour movie,
Basically, that's what it is. You are the hero, and you're literally in control of the story that they're presenting. And I mean, because of that, they're able to bring these crazy characters and make it really political, really niche, not being afraid of saying whatever they want to say. It's a really awesome medium. When I discovered it now as an actor, it was like, oh my God, I just want to do this forever. And as a gamer, the map, the size of the map, the gameplay, the possibility of game is just surreal. I cannot wait actually to start playing this game. And going back to the question, sorry. Motion capture, it was magical. It was almost like an actor's dream, because you're in this room with all these helmets, you feel like you're in space. The suit, it's kind of cool, but it doesn't look good on anybody. It's almost like a baby, one of those baby suits. Nobody looks sexy. But and so you are imagining, you basically have a studio, an empty studio, and sometimes I just put these tapes, and you have to imagine the room, and you have to imagine things, and they'll once in a while bring skeletons of things, but it was all make-believe. And at the same time, it's very technical, because you're not only doing the cinematics, and you're not only just doing it as if it was a movie, you also have to serve the game. And when the player is idle, or all those things that you have to also now incorporate in your performance, and that are really technical but are essential for the job.
That sounds like such a. I don't want to even say adjustment. It sounds like there's a desire to that everyone deep down has, like that playing pretend to the point of full-on imagination. That seems like so much fun.
And also because of the content, and the team was amazing. The team was just, you're building a world from the ground up. It's heavily based in Cuba and Latin America, but it's not. It's a world itself. And with that, they give you so much freedom as a collaborator, as an actor, to whatever you want to bring to the character, that it feels that they're almost writing the character around you.
So
and
that's
whatever.
something, that's what I found was interesting was I did the most research I could with Philly. What was it about uh uh Philly that you identified with initially and that you
Mhm.
brought into?
So, I mean, I'm from Cuba originally,
Mhm.
and Philly is a combination of two people I know in Cuba. I combine them. Philly is like a mad genius. I had so much joy playing that character because he's a mad genius with swagger. That's how I look at him.
Yeah.
He it's very layered up. There's a lot of things for Philly that you might not see just depending where you go on the gameplay. But he's a happy poor soul. There's a lot of heaviness behind him, but the way he copes with that is by partying,
Mhm.
with doing some drinking. I think he drinks. He's a heavy drinker, and obviously his ego of all the inventions that he makes. I based it on these two people that used to live in my neighborhood in Havana. I really don't know their name. One was a physics professor with again with heavy drinking habits. But he would be again a little bit of a mad genius. He would be able to solve and resolve problems out of nowhere, like mechanical problems, and people would always call him to help them with broken things. And then the other person I based it on is this guy that he I don't know really what he did with his life. He was just like basically sitting by his porch all day, talking to people, saying hi to people, being social, and that was his life.
Wow.
So yeah, that was my inspiration for film for sure.
And so you bring those two, that sounds like such a interesting, I mean, those are also already the best characters, the ones that have that, that front, they put up that front of, whether it's partying, a lot of the time it's that idea of they're trying to, fill something or shield something, and those are the best characters.
I love that. Thank you for saying that, because I feel that not just characters, I feel that everyone in life is carrying something all the time. You know, no matter how big or small your problems are, there are your problems. So I always want to add those things to the character. It's like nothing is black and white. There's layers, there's colors. So
Yeah.
I agree with you.
When was your first do you remember your first time like doing the motion capture in the volume?
Yeah, we actually shot a little bit of a demo for the game, almost like a pilot for the game. And yeah, it was I felt like a baby. I felt like a baby learning new things and experiencing everything, and just the size of the studio and the technical stuff and all the cameras and how much they cost, and don't step here because this is bad. And I was fascinated. It was fascinating. It's a little, it's almost addictive.
And so you haven't, I mean, I guess I would imagine you don't, how much have you actually seen of the game? Have you like up to a finished product? Not much?
Not much. I wish I seen more. They would once in a while in the studio, they would show us the progression of the animation. So I seen a couple of my scenes. But no, I haven't played the game. I cannot wait.
See, well, that's something that's like that I love to get into, is the idea of it's very rare that you see, actors or people part of, the industry talk, like being fans of whatever. There are these hear people talk about like, oh, I don't watch my stuff, or I don't involve myself in the stuff that I was previously involved in, which is like, there's a removal for that, sure, but there's something so much cooler about like knowing, like playing the game along at the same time, and seeing everything, seeing the final product at the same time is just so cool.
I can't wait. I can't wait, mostly because the level of quality of this content but also because I'm a gamer. And like the same thing happened with Black Summer, by the way. I was a fan of season 1.
Mhm.
And it's just one of the things that you have to binge yourself. It's like, oh my God, it's a check mark on my list. This is amazing. And it's a great feeling because there's a different tone when you come in to the work as a fan.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
it's almost like you have the opportunity to bring what you were missing when you were watching it or something like that, right? It's almost like, oh yeah, this is what I was craving, so maybe I can put a little bit of this in here. And I think it's an advantage. So that's why you're like eager to watch it right after.
That does. That sounds like especially with like a video game, a franchise to be a part of, to be a fan of, and then to bring a character in that general world to life. That must be really cool. What is it about the whole? I mean, you say that it's roughly based around Cuba and the ecstatic history of that entire situation. The rebellion side of it. What do you find so captivating about?
I mean, the thing is that I think rebellions and revolutions are a constant in politics and the history of humanity. So that I don't think they necessarily taken from the Cuban Revolution. I think they were able to take a lot of aspects from different revolutions and even different eras because they wanted to mix and match it. I mean, revolutions are necessary in a lot of
systems,
in a lot of systems and in a lot of parts of history. So one of the things movies do, but video games give you that opportunity even closer to actually become the hero, be the hero, having that role play maximize. So
it would be a very different game if you were Giancarlo's character.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And you know, what I like about it, he's a villain. He's a bad guy. I'm not defending his character, but he has a vision. He doesn't think, obviously, and he's strongly about not being a bad guy. So it is an interesting take because you will be actually trying to build something for the good, but it's not working.
Yeah, which is also a very common theme. I mean, it's very weird to get into that kind of idea, but it's a very common theme in most revolutions that become what they were fighting. You know,
Absolutely.
To have that idea of like, I know I'm doing the right thing to the point where you become an oppressor. You know what I mean?
It happens more often than
so
you would like, right? Well said.
And how cool is it? I mean, it's almost like every franchise now has Giancarlo Esposito as the head honcho, as the main villain. That's got to be so much fun. Were you able to meet him at all or anything?
No. Fortunately, I think we were in the building one time, in the same building one time. But no, that's it. And I didn't work with him, but I worked on a project that he was on Jet on HBO, and I had like a one episode character. And I just finished some of my scenes, and then we just crossed paths. So that's the closest I've been to him.
Yeah.
Can't claim, unfortunately, that I had scenes with him.
That's so funny. Like it's very funny how I think it's there's Breaking Bad. He's Gus. There's The Boys. He's the CEO of the evil company, The Boys, and he's one of the main, like the worst bad guys in Star Wars.
I know.
In the middle, that's got to be great.
I know. I can't wait. And from what I've seen, he's amazing. He's terrifying.
He's so good at that. Like you can feel the power behind his stare.
Exactly.
He looks at you.
Exactly. He doesn't have to do anything. He doesn't have to do much. So eerie.
That's so fun. I'm gonna ask. I gotta ask some Black Summer stuff because
Let's do it.
I watched this show. I remember I was scrolling through Netflix because very often now Netflix will throw 1,000 things at you, and yet you'll still look through and it'll be tough to decide what you want. So I was scrolling through Netflix when I saw that Black Summer had dropped. This is back in, I don't know why it feels like it was 5 years ago, but it was 2019 or 2018 when it first dropped, I think, right?
Mhm. I think,
And
yeah, it was 2019. Yeah.
I watched it, which is insane to say that's like only 3 years ago or even less,
No,
2.5 years ago.
no.
So I watched that all in one day.
Mhm.
The season, it's such a different zombie show that I was hooked on it immediately. And then I was like, so that's done, right? Like they finally find her daughter,
Mhm.
and it's perfect. You don't need anything. And then I heard there was a season 2 happening, and it feels like it took forever. And then with the pandemic, I didn't know that the pandemic had pushed it forward,
Mhm.
which is so insane to think about. When you find out that you got the job as Boone, what were you doing? Do you remember?
Well, I mean, I agree with you. I saw season 1 and I'm like, what is this? This is amazing. I'm a fan of the genre. I will consume anything zombie. C, D,
Yeah.
you with your cell phone pretending to be a zombie, I'll watch it.
Mhm.
But then when I saw Black Summer, I'm like, oh my God, the long takes, the storytelling, like this is amazing.
It's never been done before, that like to that
Never.
extent.
Exactly. I never seen anything like that. Like the nuances, the little details, and it was and how realistic it was. I love. It's almost like the case scenario, like what would happen, not in a spectacular kind of way.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, that's I can see that exactly going that way. So when my agent tells me about Black Summer 2 at the auditioning, I'm like, hell yeah, let's do it. And I first I think they were like doing these genetic auditions. I think it was Robbie's character that they were auditioning everybody with. And then production sends me a Boone, and they're like, we want you to try for this. And within that week, I'm meeting with John and talking about it, and not believing it. I'm being super excited to be on a show that I'm a huge fan, and such a great character.
Oh my God. So I was lucky enough, I talked with Justin Bashir a couple months ago, just mostly because I also wanted to, their episode is my favorite episode of the second season.
It's such an awesome episode. I love it too.
So good. It's such a a full stop compared to the rest of this. The way the storytelling is generally told. Exactly. It's 100% like we talked about the idea that, possibly Braithwaite was made up in his mind, and that the concept of, you can just imagine a guy who's got a gunshot wound walking through the woods talking to himself, and then that was so good. And then I wanted to make a point that season 2 specifically brought 3 characters that I both love, and I feel like you never get to see in most zombie things until they get, they ruin them somehow. But you can ruin a character. The best thing Black Summer has going for it is that they don't give you, a bunch of backstory that is so unneeded most of the time. Like,
well, that's the thing. It becomes a bit of a soap opera, right? And it's like, no, I want to see how people get out of.
Exactly. And then that's how you can tell the story even more captivating. You can unfold, you meet a character as they are, and you don't learn through anything other than what you're seeing. It's very great. And so I brought up, I don't think I've ever seen a character like Boone in zombie fiction. A character that's so, he's out there. He's been alone for too long, or you know what I mean? It's so great to see a character that is full of charisma. Like when he's in a good, I love that when you prove them wrong, that you weren't.
Oh,
like,
I know.
Oh, it's so good. It's so great when you prove, like, and it's the best thing that they could have ever imagined. It's an entire perfect, fortress. You could just board up the door. So they have months of food, hot water. When Zoe's character wasn't taking a shower, I was like, take a shower before you have to leave, before something goes wrong.
I know. We keep joking about that.
Bringing that kind of, like, such an electric character. What was that like, bringing Boone alive?
Thank you so much. Those such a kind words. I had so much joy playing this character. First, working with this team, it was surreal. Surreal. Working with Jamie, working with Zoe, like my scene partners, you cannot ask for better scene partners. The way we worked the scenes, the way we actually lived it. It was really intense. It was amazing. And also John gave me complete freedom. I was able to, there's a few things that I checked with him, but I was able to basically change a lot of things. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. I think so. I think John told me once that the character originally was like a tiny white guy, a fast-paced speaker kind of thing.
Really?
Yeah. And I can sort of see that.
I can kind of see that, but I guess after seeing yours, it's almost like, I don't know if I would have clicked with him as much. I don't know. I don't think he would have been as likable.
That's the thing. And when I first read it, it's like, yeah, I get it. But I want to give him a little bit of charisma. Like I want to give him.
Exactly. He's got so much like kinetic energy to him.
And he had to, right? Because I connected at first. I think he's losing his mind because he's been by himself for way too long. And he's literally at the edge of losing his mind, almost like quite there, like on and off. So I wanted to show that when I first read this, I was like, okay, this guy cannot be completely normal. Mostly when he's at the house. Maybe when he gets out, he gets a little bit more excited, but when he's at the house, he's about to lose it. And because without that layers, I think they wouldn't be justified that they would follow him, right? Like they would just not kill him. If he was a little bit more sketchy than what he was. You
needed him to be just enough and a little bit more. So that it's so that like that's what makes when Jamie's like prepared to like when she thinks that you've just been leading them in circles. I was like, oh, this is the end of this character. He's been he got them out into the woods to lead to something else will eventually happen to these guys. But it gets to the point where I'm fully certain she's going to take you out. And then it was like, no, but for some reason, I feel like there's this, that's how it would be. It would be the case of like the one thing he was honest or lucid about was the existence of this hotel. So
that's right.
That's what's so great about that moment.
And he had literally no reason to lie to them. He was just.
That's exactly. Like when the first, I think we see you at the end of, we see you when they go up and they leave the axe on the phone, and we see you there, and I was like, oh shit, dude. I thought that the fucking assholes downstairs had a guy hiding in the top. I was like, they got another dude that Jamie doesn't know about. We gotta, eyes everywhere. And then that's when you find out that literally like 4 different groups of people came into this house at the same time, basically. Right. And when that character, when you didn't come down in the next one and they're all dealing with everything downstairs, I was like, oh, he's been there, and they came in while he was there, and nobody fucking, like, that's the best introduction for a character like Boone. Like, he's so removed that he's not even involved in all the shit going downstairs. And so that was so great.
And it makes sense that he didn't want to involve himself with anybody downstairs.
Oh yeah.
Like he saw, and these 2 girls were the safest partners.
Yeah. They also came out on top.
Yes. Yeah. They did. They exactly. By process of elimination.
I would 100% go, I'm following you guys wherever you go.
Until he realized that it was a bit of a risk, and then he ran away.
That's so great. So I love the hotel scene when something that made me laugh so hard is you prove them right. They walk through everything. You're seeing all the closets of food, and you're seeing the beds, and they have electricity, and everything is perfect. And then the next morning when Zoe wandered by herself, and I was like, this is the show is a horror because the zombies and all that, but this is like scary horror to an extent that you don't see with a lot of zombie stuff. I think a lot of zombie stuff is very much in your face, zombies, pay attention, and then it becomes like an action thing almost, but to use the horror of that moment and then ending it there, leading with the episode into her to Jamie waking you up, which is the funniest moment in the entire show, is she slams on your door. I'm just imagining Boone being like going to sleep, being like, I proved them right, waking up to like loud banging, and he goes, she said something like, where's my daughter? And you go, she's not with you or whatever. And I was like, that's perfect. And then that kicks into to gear everything else. What was it like? I don't even know what I'm trying to ask. Just playing so you played a version of Boone where he was like trying to prove it to them, and then you play a version of Boone that's like
a little more cocky.
Around the dinner table, you're like you guys have wine and you're and
right.
And it's very much and you also have that whole thing with Justin and Jamie's characters have a significant history, and you're just there on the side, like being like, they didn't believe me, I told them. And it's just such a perfect balance. What was that playing that balance like,
It was, I'm so glad you're noticing the things, because it was, done on purpose, right? It's like, there's a Boone that is begging for his life.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously there's a cocky Boone. Even I don't know if you remember his death scene.
Oh,
when he's with the militants. He's almost slightly more cockier than he was at the lodge. Like, he's just like, I know he's almost confident.
Yeah.
That he's an asset.
Mm-hmm. But that's what's so great is that's why the show is so good, because it shows how experiences change people. If Boone hadn't have proven, I mean, if he hadn't had met Jimmy and Zoe's character, he wouldn't have had that shot of like, listen, I know what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
And even if it was more expressed, like how much, like I think you have a gun pointed at yourself a significant amount of time. So to even have that sense of Boone, you gave them I was so disappointed. Oh my God, that was so, mostly because I was fully sure after you run out of the hotel after all that, and I was like, oh, he's fucking done. Like, they're going to make sure it was either they're going to let him go, and then he's going to run into maybe like Ray's group of like just military guys who would fully not deal with Boone at all.
No, he will be killed immediately.
It's such two different sides of the spectrum. But yeah, that shot in the back, not even like a shot in the back, man. That's so fun.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah. It was like, it's like he's not even a good shot. He misses. He cuts 2 fingers, and then as he's like, it was horrible. It was horrible. It's horrible. I remember that they wanted a little bit more of a technical death, right? It's just like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I talked to them, and I'm like, can I just give you my first aid? Can I just give you something else? And they were like, yeah, of course. They were amazing. And then, so I wanted to be a little bit more emotional, because it, like you said, it didn't feel right. It's like, this is irritating. Like, also, I feel like everybody had a lot of technical death, and I wanted to put a little bit more emotion to him. So they allowed me to do that. And I think I was really happy with it, because it gave him a nice end, like a nice circle of who he was.
Yeah. Well, that's what a great thing about Boone is, that a lot of the people we meet in the show have to, or they don't have to, they do it out of like necessity, like to reserve themselves, so that if they, how many people die just you meet someone in the show and it's like, oh, so I wonder what they're going to be doing, and they're dead. You know what I mean? It's very much immediate. So to have a character that's so much himself, as soon as you meet him, be taken out, like we learn more about you, and then like then we actually get, if we get like a backstory, like if we saw Boone in society, you know what I mean? We learn more about him as he's trying to to endear himself. Exactly. So
and even with the mints, the little mints, that for me narrates a lot of who he is, kind of like an opportunistic. I remember talking to the head of wardrobe, and she had all these ideas, and it was amazing. And I said to her, it's like, I feel that he needs something that doesn't belong to him. Like, it's obviously he took it from a child or something, something weird and slightly creepy like that. And then she came up with this golden mints, like it was like, oh my God, they even talk. Like, these are amazing. These are puppets.
Exactly.
And given that he was by himself living in the walls, like it just came natural that he would talk to them.
And that's also, it doesn't come off most. I mean, I think there are like every once in a while you see something like this in zombie fiction. You have to be a scavenger in Black Summer. I love seeing all those scenes of people opening car doors and rummaging through shit and like finding a jacket. Hey, it doesn't fit you. Guess what? Winter's coming, so you gotta. You need another layer. So, and it's just it's just great that it's such a quirky character. Also has like that's so funny. Oh man, that's what I mean. Like you don't see this character in anything else in The Walking Dead or in any other zombie movies. A character that's so much like he wears himself on his sleeve and he's so endearing. And then to see him die, I was so disappointed. I was happy that it wasn't Jamie or Zoe. I was fully expecting, like, as you were running away, because that's how they set it up. You have a shot in the back, the last time we saw you running away. But yeah, man, what a great. Now you got to do some zombie shit. Some like you got to run around as a zombie. How was that?
That was a blast. That's
got to be, especially for the way that their zombie is so distinct and so anger and it's like we talk about, like it's more of an infection. So how was that?
So first we were like, every single time there was a zombie scene and we were watching, we're like, holy shit, if this was real, we will not survive the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, it's too much to take in, you know?
Right, because normally like the zombie apocalypse, they're like slow. Everybody watching those movies thinks like, I can survive that. Yeah. I can kill those zombies. Not these ones. We're like, oh, we will be in serious trouble. So based on that, we went all out. So it's almost like having this animalistic, rabbit, perfect dog. You got licensed to be like that. It was a lot of fun. Like it was. You felt like a kid mostly. Every time I was a zombie, I'm playing like a zombie.
That's some of my favorite scenes of the show is. Or Justin talked about, he had to run up in the heist of the first season. He had to run up a bunch of steps, and then he said he turned around and he had to they had the zombies on screen at the same time, so that or right behind the camera, so that he could have a genuine reaction. And it's a paralyzing reaction because they're so good at playing these, like I would like cower into a ball because they're so aggressive and so forward. And we've seen zombies run before, but these are zombies that they don't have like they don't get tired, and it's very much that like the last chase that I can't remember his character.
Oh, with Maze?
Yeah. That were you part of the zombies in that chase, or did you get taken out before then?
I'm the last zombie. I'm the very last zombie when he's like kneeling in the sundown.
Oh my God.
I'm the very last zombie that is like jumping and he shoots me in the head.
That's so cool. That chase is also beats anything. Most zombie stuff.
It's nothing like it, exactly. Yeah. It's a classic.
You have to. There's something great that's where you learn about a character, is what they're willing to do, and not like in giant grand gestures, in like the small things too. Like if you're running through a bunch of plastic sheets, you're gonna get tangled up. You have to move a specific way, and you have all the zombies running through the wires, and that's so great. So to be one of those zombies, what was that like? To like chase someone and know that they're running out of fear.
It was a lot of fun. I don't know if you remember the two characters of the two Asian sisters.
Yeah.
Chantel and Elaine. That's the name of the actress. So I remember, because when we came back, we were first shooting things chronologically, but when we came back after COVID, we had to shoot all over. So I came back, and I on my second half, I started as a zombie. And so that's how I met these girls. And we're rehearsing the scene. And I haven't met them yet, like, because they're around the house and I know they're there. So I'm full on zombie. The makeup is amazing. Like the makeup will be like,
good. It's such a distinct look.
Myself. Yeah, exactly. So I remember my zombie was running, crossing this house, and then the girls were almost like crossing paths.
Yeah.
And so we'll stop, and then my zombie will like slow down and chase them.
Yeah.
So we had a shooting rehearsal. We were like a filming rehearsal, and I remember the fear in their eyes when they saw me. Like, it actually fed me more as a zombie to be more aggressive. Because I remember their eyes were just like, holy cow, what is this?
Mhm.
We are in danger. And the show had a lot of realistic things like that it helped with the acting. It helped with the acting, and going back to the scene partners, the same thing. I remember with Jamie the scene that, you know, she's about to kill me.
Mhm.
The second time that they couldn't find the lodge. And I remember discovering myself in real fear. Like being like, holy cow, like this is
the end.
This is the end. This is the real emotion. Like being completely empty.
Because there's a big portion of seeing Boone up there where it's like, it's accept. I mean, even as an audience member, I'm fully like, well, we've seen Rose do everything fully 100%. Like the difference between the ending of season 1 and going on in season 2, and not knowing, like when we basically first meet her when she kicks that guy out after the barbed wire fence, finding out that's her. It's like, oh, she doesn't give a shit anymore. Now it's all her daughter, no, but nothing else. So I'm fully like, all right, it was fun having this character, and then that acceptance being undermined and Boone going on was that's what it allows so much room for that kind of character.
Yeah, I know, it was awesome, and to be able to play all that roller coaster of emotions, from like deceiving to begging for your life to being cocky about it, to be able to bring comedy. It was a gift. Boone was a gift for sure, and the whole project was a gift.
Yeah, I'm actually, so that's the one thing I was thinking about after finishing season 2 was season 1 could have ended there and it would have been a solid, 8 episodes of awesomeness, and then season 2 ends so much more wide open. Like a season 3 is hopefully coming, and
it's needed. I want to know where they're going.
That's so
that's that plane going.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, when Sun finally has someone who speaks Korean, I was so happy for her when she has someone who understands her after 16 episodes of everyone kind of like trying to guess what she's saying. Like she's able to sleep now.
And I actually read some of the fans talking. It's just like, oh, it's a little bit weird that this guy is so polite and so relaxed. And so it's like, absolutely. I agree with that. And it's eerie.
It's
why
100%.
Is this guy so clean? And
exactly. I mean, so there's got to be like a community somewhere, or when she's asking a bunch of questions and he kind of doesn't really answer her. He says like, just relax or whatever. I wouldn't be able to, I was just happy that she was finally able to articulate like her feelings to someone. She kind of laid back and had some kind of, that's got to be also such just a great experience. Like thinking in a story sense, being a character that's been on the ground close to so much danger, and then like 30, I don't know however 1,000 up, being in the air, looking over everything in a prime safe kind of location. That's got to be great. But yeah, oh my God. So,
and even what's going to happen to Anna. I'm looking forward to see if Anna, like, because also working with Zoe was amazing. What an amazing.
Yeah, I was gonna. So I wanted to also. I have it literally written down. You have two of like the most badass characters you're dealing with, but it's a mother and daughter duo, which you also never see. I feel like it's always like it's always. I mean, there's always the idea of. It's typically, I mean, like in Last of Us or a bunch of these other zombie fiction, it's typically like a guy watching over a child, and the child more often than not is a little girl. But to have a mother-daughter duo that is so legit when they're doing the playing card stuff,
oh my God,
in the house,
wow.
And I patted myself on the back for figuring it out. They had the cards, they were putting them in position of the perimeter of the house. All the characters, like 2 of them are here, 1 on the couch, 1 over here. It was like they have it down. They've probably been through that several times, having to like look out for each other. So working with Zoe and Jamie, how was that? Having the two of like possibly the best.
It was amazing. It was amazing. Yeah, they were the best. It's such an intimate work, right? Like you have to work together so much and at the same time keep it fresh. From Jamie, you couldn't ask for a more supportive, collaborative partner. We will work before the scene. We will, be in the sheds together. It felt like a true team, and the same thing with Zoe. And Zoe is a brilliant kid. Like, I don't know if people know, Zoe writes books and reads books weekly. Like, and it's amazing the amount of knowledge and how bright this child is. But at the same time, you would imagine that someone that does that at that age is a little bit keeps to themselves and
Yeah,
a little quiet. She's a joy. So silly. What an amazing, great sense of humor.
yeah.
An amazing actor. So nice to work with both of them. And Zoe has a brilliant future. Can't wait to see her.
That shot
Her
of
next
her
project.
when she finds the open door
Oh, yeah.
and she's looking into the glass and she sees her reflection.
Oh my
I
God.
was-
The silent stream. The silent.
Yeah. Oh my God. Because I also watching it like still when the pandemic was going on, it just made me think of like the kids like in our world going
That's
through all
right.
this shit now. And it's obviously like such an emotional and mental like monkey to carry. And then not being able to even, to remove myself and think about that with zombies. Just it's such a mind fuck. So to have that like constant aggression around you, like, and of course she's got her guard up the most when her mom
Mhm.
is kind of like realizing, all right, I'm gonna take a second here. This guy was right. And
That's right.
and you know what? I'm gonna take a second. I'm gonna take a shower. I'm gonna take a nap because you probably haven't had more than like 2 hours of sleep at a time in like years. So, and then to have that, like, I don't even know what to call it. Like she knew like even enough not to let anything out. It's 100% like angst and rage and an emotion coming from such a young, great actress into like looking at her reflection, the implications behind that. Like you're looking at a reflection of yourself over like dark woods and it's a distorted version of yourself. It's incredible.
It is. It's if it's not my favorite part of the whole series, it's one of my favorite for sure. For all those things that you said, and it just makes so much sense that she would get into that reflection, and that's why she basically almost becomes, or you might say, crazy, right? Like you would be like, whoa, why did you kill this guy? Why do you want to leave the lodge?
That's what it's the way that it points towards that. Meanwhile, I think that I would. They say that like a primal scream. Oh no, Siri, stop. Jeez, sorry, my Siri.
No worries.
They say that a primal scream is like a great way to relieve stress, but you can't do that with zombies. So the idea of like, that's got to be I don't even want to say a reliever, but like you have all this pent up, you have to stay still all the time, that to let it out like fully like that. And there's also like all the psychological stuff being not like it's a reflection of yourself, and you're looking almost at like a zombified version of yourself. You're looking at like it's distorted, it's a reflection, it's over the woods. Yeah.
Right. It is amazing. It's amazing. And even that location was magical. Like the Rocky Mountains are something else. And the actual lodge is in a reserve, like it's really remote. And I think they just fix it up for the shoot. It's one of the best views I ever see. Like it's literally in the middle of nowhere. There's this beautiful lake, and then the mountains are right there. And I think that location also added to the series for sure. Like that, it was playing a role.
Absolutely. I mean, that's another great thing that you get to pick apart from this show is that the setting, the territory is its own character, especially like in like a expressive season. So like the winter, it's its own. I love that little nod of when Justin he goes down the hill and he sees Brathwaite, and then he sees the zombie that's frozen. And he takes his gloves.
Oh yeah, he takes it. Yeah.
That's so good because you never see the environment. Like you can have someone pretend to be cold, but you never see the environment actually involve itself
Like
into
factory,
the story. Yeah, exactly.
And one thing I also love about the series, I got to mention, is the camera work.
The cinematography is incredible.
It's incredible. We work with the camera crew like a scene partner. And this is one of my favorite things of the job, and it's kind of addictive.
It's got to be, I imagine.
It's really nice, yeah.
Oh my God! Like, I don't know. I'm kind of like in awe. I'm gonna rewatch the show now. It's Halloween. It's officially October. I've got to rewatch season 1 and 2. You know what I mean?
You're a baseball fan, are you?
Yeah. My team got mathematically kicked out a couple days ago.
Why, you met?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Why?
No, just to talk about baseball, because it's a playoff run.
Oh yeah, no, I'm gonna be, watching. I went to the wild card game in 2016, and that was the last time the Mets got anywhere close. And
that's right.
I'm just cheering. We're finally spending some money. Maybe something will change in the next couple of years.
What about the Yankees?
Nah, the rest of my family's Yankees.
Oh, I see. Gotcha.
Very
so you
young.
won't cheer. They're not your plan B.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, New York still, but Yankees.
I hear you, man. I'm a Toronto fan. Like I'm a Blue Jays fan. You guys, the Yankees just won the series yesterday. And our playoffs hopes are disappearing a little bit.
Yeah. Oh boy. Okay, so because I can sit here and think and smile about how much I love Boone in the show. I have to talk about, just going back a little bit, the dinner scene. When you have like all this food, more like it's such a sharp contrast compared to the rest of the show. You have an abundance of supplies and nothing, you don't need anything. You know what I mean? You have food, you have warmth. You guys are like sitting there. And I talked with Bashir and Justin about the concept of like drinking in the apocalypse and how much that makes my anxiety flare up, just because it's the one situation where you have to be the most aware. And to impair yourself like that is so alien to me.
It's reckless.
Yeah, exactly. All it means is that I would need to drink, or else I would be too anxious. But yeah, so to be the source of silliness in that scene, it just was so much I love about it. What was it like doing that, especially between Spears and Rose having such a stare down?
That's right. When I first read the scene, I'm like, oh, I get it. So obviously the scene is about the two of them, but my character is literally in the way, like between. It's almost like they need to have a conversation and I'm not letting them somehow. But I had to make a decision how drunk I want him to be. I had to make a decision based on that too.
That's so interesting, because I didn't even consider that. You have to, you don't want him to be I'm gonna just shut up. Keep going. Sorry.
No, tell me.
That's such an interesting thing to think about, because a character like Boone, there has to be a point where it becomes too much, I would think. So that's what's so interesting about that.
Well, that's the thing, and I even put in factors like, well, this is a guy that hasn't even, he got the axe, but besides that, he's not picking up any guns. For some reason, he thinks that he can just walk through the apocalypse without having to act.
Yeah.
So based on those little things, I'm like, okay, he's irresponsible. Check. And then just given how talkative he was and everything, I just decided it's like, he's gonna be as drunk as he can possibly be.
I mean,
and it wasn't fast.
he's around people that aren't A, trying to kill him. B, he's also just around people. That's probably the most people he's like been
Yes,
that have been not trying to kill him in so long.
exactly.
And he's very charismatic, and you have him drunk, and he's also still kind of losing it. Like it's got to be such a shift for him to think that it's all actually happening. So,
And on top of that, he was right.
yeah,
On top of that, he was like, you were about to kill me.
he's
And
gloating.
I was right. Yeah. So it's all that joy coming out. It's a celebration for him. So it's celebrating that he was right, celebrating that he's alive, celebrating that he's like meeting new people. But it also goes with that innocence of him.
Yeah.
He was really innocent, and I wanted him to be, because like you said, there's nothing like that at that point in a zombie apocalypse. All the people that are left are the lawless, the ruthless, the ones that are like, efficient. And it's like, okay, it makes sense that someone like him wouldn't survive that long, but good thing he was hiding in the walls. So it was an opportunity to have someone, like you said, that you don't see often in the genre. That is like, oh, okay, now it's almost like giving the license of filling up this gap. And as a fan, I was sort of aware that there's nothing like that. Like no character like it. It was built on purpose.
It's very, how I would compare to Boone as a character in that they're not necessarily, not dangerous. I'm trying to think of like, I wouldn't consider, reckless, but I wouldn't consider Boone a threat. I feel like it'd be very easy to get Boone on my side to support, to like be like, hey, we're gonna go over here, you're gonna come with, and he's like gonna be like, yeah. A character that I would compare him to that almost doesn't have any of that charm or likability is, I can't remember his character's name, but he dies in the beginning of season 2. He's in all season 1. I forgot his name.
Oh, of course, Lance.
Yeah.
Lance, that's exactly an amazing scene.
It's so good because, it's also so good because we watch a whole season of him kind of like essentially like running through everything, stumbling his way into like not getting eaten, and then to have the first thing we see him like, oh, so he's gonna find a way, and then no, and it's not even a zombie. It's just he gets shot, and it just. And exactly, just that's the best way. It's some dude just coming across, and it would have been some guy that in season 1 we would have seen them do to some dude, and to have that, but he's got that same sense of like, I don't consider him a threat, but there's something when I compare him and Boone together, there's a difference between like, maybe it's like the insanity, maybe it's
a liability. There's liability.
It's a likability that I just didn't get with Lance, and there's a comfortability with Lance because we've seen him this whole time. Mm-hmm. I'm still thinking like, so has he just been jacking cars like across the territory, just struggling every second to survive? Because that's how I imagine it is for Boone, and yet Boone comes across these people, and he's got so much. I don't even know, dude. When he's on the school bus in the first season, and he just lies down there, and I'm like, I felt bad for him, but then I think about him scrolling through. Like, I don't think, here's the perfect comparison. Boone would not have like strolled through the supermarket shopping.
Oh no.
Casually being like, oh, you know what? I'll get this brand instead of this brand. Like, that's what Lance was doing. And I'm like, what are you like? Boone would have at least like kept his eyes open. And then when Lance gets saved by that guy who ends up getting bit, so Lance has to kill him. I'm like, this didn't even have to happen. He saved you, and it's so frustrating. And then a character like Boone, who has all those like kind of like scraping by qualities, who is also just a likable character. And there's a lot that goes into that likability. There's so many factors, but it's I could watch like a play of Boone trying to make his way through, coming across different things, different people, and then not even like, it's a weird way to even like describe it as like squeezing his way through. I feel like Boone, because he's so upfront, could talk his way through a couple things.
That's all he got, right? That's why he doesn't pick up a weapon or anything like that, because they're like, no, through charm, I'm just gonna survive. And he does until it doesn't work anymore.
Exactly, until he comes across just and it's not even just like the wrong place, wrong time thing. It's more of just they could have let him go.
They could have let him go easily.
They had no information that he was tied to anyone else. That's what I love so much about the airstrip entire sequence, is that it's like 3-4 different groups who have different agendas all meeting and having to deal with each other. So, and Boone could have won. That's a situation that I feel like Boone's been in and gotten himself out of. You know what I mean? So for this one for him to just make it, to not make it out of this one, it's almost like his time was up, you know?
Yeah, no, that's basically it. And it was bound to happen with someone like him. And I think even playing that extra cockiness just before he died adds to it, because it's almost like he's sure he's gonna get out of it. Yeah. And little that he knows, he's been surviving until that point. He thinks he's a ship, he thinks he's an asset. And having that contrast of like, they're not even gonna execute you in an honorable way.
Yeah.
It's just on a horrible way. Not even that. They're not even gonna kill you. They want you to be a zombie and to run around.
Yeah. Oh God.
it's painful,
that's a great
right?
way. I was completely indifferent towards that group. When they came across Ray and his group, I was like, I don't like Ray's group. I'm rooting for these guys. And then they do that, and I'm like, kill him. I don't want him. I don't want to see him anymore. When they have that whole thing inside the air hangar, I was like, that's such a like a mess. Why would you gather everybody under one roof when there's like a fast spreading infection? It's just, oh man, what a genuinely great character.
But even like a lot of the characters, because it's funny, and I when I read some of the fan comments, they're trying to make sense of it, and a lot of it makes sense that there's no sense to them, that they don't quite know. Like when all of them are at the airstrip, you look at all these characters, and I'm like, why don't you guys talk?
Yeah, that's the best part. That's the best part, is that it's gone beyond the concept of simple communication. Yeah. Everyone's trying to get on the plane. Everyone wants everyone is an enemy.
Everyone assumes that the next person is an enemy. Mm-hmm. And it's like, why? Because I think at that point, with the level of anxiety, what you're doing, everyone has lost their mind a little bit.
Yeah.
Like they're not themselves, right? Like look at like the girls. I love that it's against the stereotype. These, skinny, pretty girls that you don't expect them to survive, but how they survive, exactly doing that, but being more badass than you.
Oh yeah.
To the point that the morals are questionable.
Mm-hmm.
That's how, and it's completely credible.
And you know what's also kind of, I mean, I love that we're talking about their characters too, because throughout the entirety of season 2, we don't see Zoe in the first season. Beginning and end. So we get to meet her character, know who she is, and know what she is becoming. So to see her and tell like her mom, like, hey mom, please don't, like, I guess they've probably had to kill a lot of people to that point. So for her to like, you see a character that we haven't met starting to kind of evolve a bit, and then to see her like showing her mom attitude at the airstrip and have it kind of, it's like reversing time of her character. Like we're getting a very, very crude version of a character that we've seen be very, like empathetic and
team player, so to speak.
Exactly. So to see that, and then to finally have that all, like, of course, when she starts like talking back to her mom is the most pivotal moment of everyone is there. Zombie stuff. I think Boone was the first one.
That's when Zombie Boone shows up. Yeah, the first time we see Zombie Boone.
Yeah, exactly. I think Boone at the air strip was the first one to start infecting around everyone.
I think so. I think they had.
Or were there a couple already there?
there was a few. Was Zombie Boone? I think no. I think there was
Maybe.
a few already,
Yeah.
but Zombie Boone was leading the charge for sure.
Yeah, and that's so great. Coming in between the giant containers, and then seeing, I think actually it was Boone. He runs by, but as he's running by, he does a double take, and then he comes back and he runs at them, and it's just so good. That's so good.
You can tell. I think it's like the most clear part on that one, that you can see the teenager. You can see the teenager relationship with the mom.
Because at the same time, they're not equals.
No, they're not equals.
I mean, maybe on the general existence of like, you guys have to survive. Yeah, you have a gun, but they have an interpersonal relationship that is not an equal relationship. So to see that struggle. Yeah.
Absolutely. And even going back to the morals and the scene that Rose was going to execute Boone, the way I wanted to portray that is like, this isn't right. Like you guys are wrong. Like this isn't okay. Like why are you doing this? Like all those things that it just seem that doesn't make any sense. But also goes down with their character, kind of like this becoming a pattern. No, we got to kill you. Why? Because we got it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's what we've been doing, and that's how you survive.
Yeah.
And then Anna comes in, the voice of reason, and it's like, actually, in this particular case, we don't have to.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Boone even pleads to her.
Yeah. It's like, say something. Come on.
I feel like I mean, this might be completely made up, but I feel like you called her like smart for like coming up with that or something. You were like, it's just seeing Boone Boone is here, a door is closing, and then seeing it get to this much closed, and you're seeing how frantic he gets, and it's just, I mean, I feel like I could have said this entire thing is me complimenting your performance and your acting, because it's genuinely so good.
So sweet, Tim. Very kind. Thank you.
Such a, I don't even know, man. What a great character that you never. I hope no one else brings a character like that into their zombie stuff, because they won't do it as good as Boone.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
That's really, really huge compliment.
Yeah.
But watch, I mean, play Far Cry, because this guy, Philly.
Absolutely.
Philly is also a charismatic guy. He's a cool guy. I think he's likable.
Definitely. Man, I'm gonna go right straight to rewatching Black Summer right now.
You're making me want to do it again too.
Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you for hitting me up about this. This was a great. This is one of my more enjoyable talks. Thank you.
Oh, the saying, I had an amazing time. Thank you so much for having me.
You want to say like your social media or anything like that? I'm gonna have it on the screen, but you might as well.
Thank you. I'm terrible with it, but yeah, I mean, Kutumanu. That's my Instagram. CUTUMANU. If you want to know a little more about me, follow me. And yeah, you can also check my other projects on IMDb.
All right. Thank you so much. I'll message you right after this. This was awesome. Thank you.
Right back at you. I had a lot of fun. Thanks for having me.